last year and a half, I've been involved in one of the most unusual and interesting pop-up book projects of my career. And it was a great experience for me. I got to work with some world-class talent, and the result we're all very proud of. I'm going to talk to you today primarily about three things. One is, what makes this book different from most other pop-up books you've seen? Then we'll go into the creative process. Then, how are these books made? Before we go into the creative process, it's important to understand what I do. And occasionally I get together, somebody will say, "Oh, and what do you do?" And I say, "Well, I design pop-up books." "I've never heard of that." "You mean you draw the pictures?" "No, I'm the paper engineer." "Well, what's that?" And I have to explain that I create the structure. So I'm the person they call in when they need to get somebody to turn a 2D image into a 3D design. Pop-up books in the corporate world are relatively few and far between. Primarily, we think of them as children's books. And if you look at this slide at a glance, what strikes you as being different about the two? Primarily, it's the target audience. Pop-up books can be from age 2 years old on up to 10 years old or 12 years old, typically. Although I can tell you there are thousands of adult collectors and an organized group with hundreds of adult collectors of children's pop-up books. So if you have a secret collection yourself, or even one, you're in good company. Obviously, the pop-up book on the right is not meant for that audience. This is to sell a product. So we'll talk about that a little more. This is a very unusual corporate pop-up book. It really draws on the rich tradition of illustrated children's books. It really makes a statement. We can be commercial, but we can also be very warm and accessible and inviting at the same time. They did not want to put out something like this. They wanted it to stick around a little while. I'll tell you briefly about Acuity. They're a mutual insurance company based in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Also do for advertising. Has done the design work on the Acuity annual reports for about the last dozen years. And for advertising, in turn, hired me as paper engineer to create the pop-ups. A good starting place was to see what were the other annual reports like. I need to know where we were going. I want to know where had we been. So here are some of their annual reports. This is the 2006. Behind the embossed paper cover of the LP record are the pages of the annual report. 2008. This was the report from the year before the pop-up book. Imagine being an agent and receiving one of these, and opening it and seeing that. And under the pepperonis, it's 2 a.m. and we're still working for you. I really like a company that thinks out of the box.
Or in the box.
In this case, in and out. It's only at this point that the hand assembly can begin. And I want to impress upon you that all pop-up books are handmade. There isn't a machine in the world that can be efficiently engineered to construct a pop-up book. It's one of the last really labor-intensive, handmade, mass-produced products that you can get, and I really consider them to be an endangered species. Publishers are having an increasingly harder time making their numbers work with pop-up books. If you're one of these workers sitting at the table, this is what you have in front of you. It's a small porcelain cup with white glue in it. The glue, I don't know if they still do this, but traditionally it's at these pop-up printers. They would take a temperature and humidity reading, formulate the glue each day, or adjust it to control the drying time. Once a piece is glued down and positioned, accuracy is everything to maintaining a book that works well. Getting that position right before you glue it. And they'll hold the piece down for several seconds, and then hand the spread with its new piece to the next worker on the table. We had an unusual level of quality control on this project, and it was extremely satisfying for me to have this dedication and cooperation. In this case, the quality of the book reflects the quality of the company, and it had to be the best we could possibly make it. too fast to catch, so I'll show it to you a little bit slower, but our ball turns, the ladder comes up on the fire truck, the drumming bear on the left moves his arm just a little. Reach over and unlatch the bottom door on the tower. And we just couldn't seem to get rid of those sheep. Turn the wheel. Had to remember this from before. Right in here, buddy. This is our final pop-up spread in the book. And again, metaphor. It's a great image to denote the healthy growth of the company and to cultivate it and keep it growing well. And not to lose sight of the fact that on some level it has to be an annual report. So here's a glimpse of the booklet. It's the image on the left being the closed booklet in the corner of the page. Well, if you take the printed sheets, there are 5 of them here. There are a total of 9 to make one book. If you put them all edge to edge, lengthwise, you have about a little under 23 linear feet of paper per book. It would reach all the way to the top of the Empire State Building, a little more than 352 times. If you don't have a number, raise your hand, and if you do have a number, we'll draw numbers. And
John, you didn't? No, I'll let you have yours. Okay. Well, we have 6 copies courtesy of Acuity to raffle off. Brett, why don't you come down and help do the honors? Brett,
All right.
This is Brett Blizzard. He is the Director of Communications.
All right, next winner is 37.
Hey! Andy?
Okay, this is it, number 34.
for everyone who got a book, I want to say that you're holding something that's quite valuable. This would be, and I'm serious, this would be highly sought after by any member of the Movable Book Society. Keep in mind that it's a book that you cannot buy for any price. You cannot get it on Amazon.com. You can't replace it if you lose it. You can't get another one if it gets damaged.
And here we are at the Smithsonian. We're going to go visit the pop-up exhibit. Andy's now done with his speech. So this is it. Fold, pull, pop, and turn. And I noticed many of the pop-ups that were in that handout are in here.
Yeah, it's an exhibition catalog, and it mentions some books, or at least one book that's not in here. And opener.
That is just amazing. This is an exhibit of, what, 50 books?
I think so. 50 is what I recall. This is the Megan Dorothy Prize winner, the most recent one, the 2010. It's a biennial award, and there have been now a total of 4 or 5 recipients. So it's Robert Sabuda, won the first 3 times.
Yep.
I won the first one. I was the first paper engineer to have a Meggendorfer Prize after Robert. And then next was Matthew Reinhardt for his Star Wars book. Yeah. And this is 1860. This book here is predates the Civil War.
Right?
1860.
1860.
Yeah, changing pictures. We still see books with that same mechanism today.
Yeah, you pull the tab up and down and the picture changes completely.
Right, and the way that they're done now is just with one tab on the bottom and rather than one at the top. And this is the patron saint of paper engineering, Lothar Meggendorfer.
And that's obviously the award's name, the Meggendorfer,
for this man. He was born in 1847, same year as Thomas Edison. He was, I think, the last of his father's 25 children, born in Munich. And in the early 1880s and in 1890s, he gave the vocabulary of the pull tab mechanism a quantum leap beyond what anybody had done before that. And surviving Meggendorfer books like this will go for a few $1,000s. Ones that are in really poor shape may go, and missing pieces and with a lot of tears and damage can go for several $100s. Yeah, that's the name, Lothar Meggendorfer. And this is Julian Weir. There we go, right there,
Yep,
Julian Weir. 1943. Most of his books were wartime. Copyright dates we see on the Weir books are 1942, 3, 4, 5, typically. Some, a few post-war, not many. He also did pull tabs, and when I was designing the engineering for Knick Knack Paddywhack, I wasn't aware of him at all. And somebody said, "Oh, so you're getting your inspiration from Julian Weir?" And I said, "Who's that?" And so I was introduced to Julian Weir. My colleagues and my within the pop-up world, my work has most often been compared to Meggendorfer's because I've done more with
In that type of
mechanism
style.
than anybody else has done since.
And this is a Meggendorfer book here.
Right. Yeah, that's. This one is probably, I would say, mid to late 1880s.
And then here you've got Descartes' De Homine, which is 1662.
This one.
Which is an anatomy book.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at these.
So this was published, Descartes himself had only been dead for 12 years at the time of publication of this book. So this, anatomy books, books on astronomy, astrology.
Did you realize?
Yeah, I saw one from Euclid over there from the 15th
Yeah,
century.
Euclidean
also.
geometry. These were what movable and pop-up elements were used for. And so it was the last thing in the world that people were thinking of these as children's books, you know, not until the 19th century. This book here is perhaps a $500,000 book.
This one right here.
Yeah. This is the most valuable book in the collection and considered to be really the most beautiful book with a movable element ever done. And
The colors on it are unbelievable for 1540.
yeah, this